Welcome back to Let's Play Lotus Land Story. We're now on stage 3. We're now at the point in the game where almost anything will start shooting at you if you leave it on the screen for too long. So, some pretty intricate dodging patterns are going to have to start showing up soon. Most of it's usually just ducking and weaving back and forth across the screen. Of course, our lovely little ghosts here still won't shoot at us no matter what we do. I believe the only time they actually start shooting at you is on lunatic difficulty. And we get the mid-boss very early in the game. Nothing really too hard here except for that little curving wave of shots right there. Pretty easy to get killed here. I picked up an extra life from points, and as well as one dropped by the mini-boss. So it's not actually the sound glitching out there. I did pick up 2 extra lives within seconds of each other. And now here's where the game actually starts getting pretty mean-spirited, if not simply because a lot of the enemies that are going to show up here are almost completely black on top of this black background. As you can see, they are almost completely invisible when I'm blowing up right now. Very easy for someone to slip past your fire, and you just don't notice them until they've rammed into you. That's also a pretty nasty little wave of enemies right there if you're not in the right position to dodge them. All of those guys will shoot based on where your position is, so you have to sort of lead them into a proper spot to give you room to dodge. If anything, missing things is something that's a big risk with Type A Reimu, which is what I'm playing as now. Her homing shots are, as you can see, white and somewhat large. Quite often I end up dying almost simply because I can't see a shot because it's actually obscured by my own bullets. It can be somewhat frustrating when that happens, especially if I have bombs left over. It's never fun to die with bombs, because a bomb basically can just save you from death. That is one of the more mean-spirited little right before the boss bullet waves there. I really don't know how I got through that. This is Elly. She is the guardian of the mansion that's under the Lake of Blood. She is the first character that actually has some important relevance to the story. The conversation I just blazed through here is basically her explaining where this mansion is. Particularly, it is on the boundary between the real world and the dream world, as she describes it. And she's actually shocked that another person has come. So pretty surprised at how active things have actually been recently. And I died right there. I hate that part of the phase. Actually, I hate Elly in general. She's pretty hard for a stage 3 boss, in my opinion. But furthermore on the story, she says, "You're not the first person to come here today." That's a little tip-off of what's next to come. Interesting enough, she also sort of tries to hand-wave the fact that she actually ended up having to let the person through for beating her. Which is pretty much how Reimu makes fun of her. Nothing really too flashy right here, except for that. Elly is somewhat dangerous, if not just because of how she likes to cramp you in with her patterns, but also because of that scythe she throws at you. It will interfere with your bullets and essentially protect her while cornering you, usually into her bullets or just into the scythe itself. And there she goes, finally. I really did not want to die as many times as I did. That second death, I really thought I could have got through. And now we move on to stage 4. We are now inside the interior of the mansion, heading further in to find the source of the gigantic demonic power we felt at the beginning of the game. The whole premise of what we're tracking. These dolls are incredibly annoying because they take a lot of damage and fire very quickly. And some of them do this. That can be very frustrating when there's a lot of other things shooting at you at once. And you really can't kill these things before they do it. here's that very easy duck and weave sort of dodge pattern. Really, nothing comes close to even hitting you when you do it right. And we get one mid-boss already. This stage actually has two of them. They fight exactly the same way, and they're not named or any sort of importance either. And are actually hard for me to tell what they actually are. It's a weird-looking sprite. I picked up an extra life from points here, and gained the bomb. Which I'm going to admit I'm going to have to use right around here. I got too cramped onto the right side of the screen. I need to get back out into the middle because of these things. They're going to keep popping up from the bottom. At least they give nice enough to give you a little warning about where they're going to come from. And more of them. The next mid-boss is going to pop up right during this little phase right here. It'll be very easy to get cramped in here, and I just decided to use a bomb to finish this thing off quickly. And yet another one up. The general rule of thumb in Touhou is always you use bombs before you lose your lives. You're better off dying with no bombs than to die with them. And I live by this rule, and especially in this stage, particularly because I don't exactly need bombs too often for this boss. Strangely enough, I'm better at the Stage 4 boss than I am in the Stage 3. Since I'm playing as Reimu and I have no intention of going through this again with Marissa, the boss you will face in this stage is different depending on whether or not you are playing as Reimu or Marissa. But you'll see who it is close enough. We're getting a little dangerous around here because of the fairies doing the screen covers in the back. I somehow get through that okay. And right here happens to be the only enemy in the game that drops a bomb as a prize for destroying it. Well, an enemy that's not a mid-boss. It's kind of weird, it's almost like it's randomly there. The boss isn't exactly close off either. This is a very long stage, actually. Particularly because depending on how you play, this could actually be the second to last stage. Here's where it gets kind of hard for me. Like I said, I never make any claims to be good at this game. This was sloppy on my part. I backed right into that. I could have gotten through that without dying. I'm not going to say my finger slipped and I hit down instead of right. I just wasn't really careful enough and backed into it. And here's Marissa, the boss of the stage. If you're playing as Marissa, of course you'd fight Reimu. And I find Reimu to be exceptionally hard, while Marissa's pretty easy, in my opinion. I got a little jumping, hit a bomb here. I really didn't need it. That attack's easy to dodge, you just shoot up through it. The general plot of what I just skipped over here to start the fight soon was Marissa saying how she snuck in here to try to take whatever that power source was for herself, and Reimu's yelling at her to stop interfering. And that's why they're not having a little fight now. Even if you're playing from Marissa's perspective, that doesn't really change too much. It's just a little food for thought because I have no intention of going so far back into the Touhou series. Marissa first appeared in the second game, Story of Eastern Wonderland, and she was the second to last boss of the game. She had red hair back then, actually, and looked a lot more childish. Another common attack Marissa will do in this phase. The reason why I find Marissa to be so much easier than Reimu is Rings has a lot of attacks that tend to home in on you and just completely engulf the screen in very narrow gaps. I got careless there. That's really my own fault. I kind of forgot those orbs were going to come back. But as I was saying, meanwhile, Marissa, however, tends to have large gaps in her shot patterns. Although they are incredibly clustered together, they're very huge holes to sort of walk through. Gonna have to cut the video here, though, because it's running long. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.